Hey yo, have you guys heard about 500 Level? They make officially licensed WWE merchandise, and I actually have been working with them on a couple of designs. A design that I worked on recently was with a girl named Caitlin, who's a big Dakota Kai fan, and we designed this new Dakota Kai shirt, which you can get exclusively now at 500 Level. Once again, officially licensed with the WWE. Really wanted a new Dakota Kai shirt. Got this one designed and made, and it's on the website now, on sale now, 500level.com. Guys, join their partnership program. You get discounts the more shirts you buy, 10%, 20%, 30%. You earn points and you get a discount. They have OG shirts, guys. I had to re-up on my NWO shirts on 500 Level, the comfortable material. If you get the premium shirts, but even the non-premium is super comfortable. I got NWO shirts. They got Shawn Michaels shirts. You can find some of your favorite wrestlers on there. You can find none other than guys like Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Check out this shirt. It's a sweet, sweet shirt, everybody. 500level.com. Like I said, they have the NWO stuff. And if you're like a big NXT fan, they got shirts for all of your favorite NXT wrestlers. And if they don't, let me know and I'll make sure we get some shirts made for your favorite NXT wrestler. I went to go support my girl, Carmen Petrovic. You guys can check out our casual conversation on my YouTube channel. You can check out mine and Carmen Petrovic's casual conversation. But 500 Level had a Carmen Petrovic shirt. I had to go support my fellow Canadian and the homie Carmen Petrovic, guys. 500level.com, guys. Check them out. Get premium, officially licensed WWE shirts that you cannot find in a WWE shop all the time. They have a huge selection on their website also for MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. They got shirts for everything, but their wrestling selection is insane. Custom creative designs. Maybe I can work together with someone out there that is an editor that wants to put more designs on the website. Hit me up. 500level.com. Check them out and keep doing the thing. And we are back with another episode of Casual Conversations with the Classic. Guys, I have a very special guest today from NXT, the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion, the one and only Kelani Jordan. How are you today?
I am great. How are you, Justin?
I'm great. Thanks for doing this. I wanted to do this. I like doing this with those of you on NXT because I feel like it gives people a lot of exposure of who you guys are. More than what they just see on TV. So let's get into it. I want to start from the beginning.
Yes.
Where were you born and raised?
So I was actually born in Atlanta, Georgia, but I moved to Florida after I finished 8th grade because my parents wanted me to have a better opportunity in the sport of gymnastics, but also my sister closest to me in age just went off to college. So they just felt like it was a perfect time to have a reset. So I just claimed Florida because, no offense to my Georgia peeps, I like Florida better.
No, 100%. But that tells you right there that the internet can be wrong because when I Googled that, it said Florida right away.
Oh, yeah. See, I went to high school in Florida and then college, Michigan. But yeah, my family is in Florida.
100%. Do you only have the one sister?
I actually am the youngest of 7. So I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the youngest, like I said, and then I'm kind of like a Brady Bunch family because my parents both had kids in their previous marriages and then they came together and had me, but we all grew up in the same house in Georgia. So they're my brothers and sisters. So I come from a big family.
A really big family.
Yeah.
How many other people in that family are like super into athletics?
All my siblings.
Really?
Yes. Growing up, my brothers did football, baseball, basketball. Sister did volleyball, and she also did baton. Then my other sister did softball. So it was like, I felt bad for my parents, but I'm so thankful for them because they literally were grinding.
Yeah, and that house must have been super crazy. Let me ask you a question then, because like I grew up, I have a couple of siblings, but I also grew up in a cul-de-sac, which was like we played with each other every single day till the streetlights came on.
Yeah.
And we're bound to get hurt. Like I've broken my arm, I've broken my leg, I sprained my ankle a bunch of times. Were you ever injured as a kid playing sports with your family?
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily with my family, thankfully, but I did.
Yeah.
I was hurt when I did gymnastics when I was about 6 years old. I broke my arm, but I'm surprised. Okay, actually, I lied. I definitely was hurt, but kind of like just bumps and bruises. Like one time, my brother thought it'd be cool to like go down the hill in my backyard on a wagon, and he was riding his bike, and then I like scraped up my whole leg. So like dumb injuries like that.
No, 100%. We all had those.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've driven a bike into like a parked car and like just
Yeah.
so like stuff like that happens all the time.
Yes.
Did anybody out of the 7 of you kids, or even your parents, like, did any of them watch wrestling growing up? Were any of them wrestling fans?
Yes. So my brothers actually watched wrestling a lot growing up.
Yeah.
And I would watch it too, but I kind of stopped when I was getting older because I was so focused on gymnastics. I was training 6 days a week and just focused on getting a scholarship. But my brothers are huge wrestling fans even to this day.
So let's talk about the gymnastics real quickly. What made you get into gymnastics and how did that start?
So my journey with gymnastics started when I was 5 years old. I was at the pool in Georgia and I saw these 2 girls like flipping into the water. And I was like, mom, like I want to be able to do that. And then that day, my mom actually went to those girls' parents and were like, oh, like, do they take classes? And like, what do they do? And they were actually really high level gymnasts. And then my mom, like that week, she put me into gymnastics. I started class once a week and then it became 2 times and 3 because I just fell in love with it.
Outside of gymnastics, was there anything else you wanted to do with your life as a kid? I mean, we all had crazy dreams. I think at one point I wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
I wanted to do wrestling. But what were things that you wanted to do growing up?
Yeah, so I wanted to be a veterinarian at one point. I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point because I love sea turtles.
Yeah.
And then I also, when I was little, I played like t-ball, and then basketball. Yeah. And I actually have done dance like ballet, tap, point throughout my whole life. In high school, I was in a dance academy where I did tap, ballet, and I did dance too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you love dance, you're great at gymnastics, but you really like animals.
Oh, I love animals. I have a lot of animals now. I have 3 cats. That's why I had to get the dog out of here. He kept barking.
Yeah.
So my dog, and then I have a bearded dragon and a guinea pig.
Holy, a bearded dragon's dope.
Yeah, one day I want to farm. One day.
That's cool. You know, I grew up on a farm. My grandparents had a blueberry farm, and then next door there was a lady. It was so crazy because her name was Miss Van Inkel, but she had like a farm with like a horse and cows and chickens and all this stuff. So we'd spend our summers there. But there's some there's highs and lows there. There's a lot of stories about that farm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about gymnastics. Obviously, you succeeded beyond anyone's. You know, you didn't know how much you were going to succeed. You have 23 gymnastic titles. When did you feel like you like reached a point where you're like, there's nothing else left for me to really do with gymnastics?
Oh, that's a great question. So in gymnastics, especially when I was being recruited, for me, I committed to Michigan State my sophomore year of high school. But in gymnastics at that time, girls were committing in 7th grade, 8th grade, and all the top schools are getting these very young athletes. And they end up passing the rule when you have to wait till junior year when I got older. But at that time, I was like just really dedicated to the sport because I was like, I need to be committed by 8th grade. But I wasn't ready by 8th grade. I wasn't ready to be committing to a college. I still had a lot of room for improvement. But then I just realized that this was the sport for me and I really wanted to pursue it. I want to say from when I was like 11 years old because I was homeschooled 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade with the dream of going to the Olympics. Obviously, the Olympic journey didn't work out for me. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be an elite gymnast. I'm not going to go to the Olympics. So the next best option for me was, all right, I'm going to focus on getting a scholarship. And thankfully, I was able to get a scholarship to Michigan State.
And then that scholarship is what kind of helped you get the tryout with the WWE. Is that how that worked out?
Yeah. So it's so cool. Like in that moment, I was so crushed. Like, okay, I'm gonna go back. Not crushed that I was going back to like public school because I'm happy that I was able to go back to public school because I did miss having a social life in that aspect. But I was crushed about like, okay, I'm not gonna train elite anymore. I'm just gonna focus on college. So I knew I was giving one dream. But then I'm so thankful that I did because I wouldn't be in the WWE if I didn't go to Michigan State. So it's just awesome to see how God works in this space. Yeah.
So you've been in like serious competition since, you know, your younger years, like younger than 10 years old. And I mean, you've been competing, you've won titles and all this type of stuff. What do you say like what advice would you give someone that is in a competitive situation in terms of like your mental health and keeping, you know, your eye on the prize and stuff like that? Like what type of things did you do that benefited you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I think one is just believing in yourself. And I know, especially in gymnastics, it's really hard sometimes because the era that I came up in, there wasn't something called like safe sport, and the coaches could be very borderline abusive. So I think and you let that get into your head, and then it kind of causes your confidence to go down, and then you start having like doubt. So I think first and foremost is believe in yourself no matter what anyone has to say. And then and the reason why I say that first is because I felt like for me, I let a lot of outside voices, even from my coaches growing up, almost make me quit the sport. And then it caused me to like see myself differently, which caused like mental health issues. So I think most importantly, believe in yourself, trust yourself, and then remember that there's only one you, and you should listen to yourself because no one knows how your body feels. No one knows how you feel. So just take the time to like put yourself first.
No, 100%. What exactly is safe sport? Is this like a new thing now, or?
Yeah, I don't know the exact year it came out, or maybe it's always been around, but maybe it was like swept under the rug. But
Yeah.
around the time that I was at state, the obviously the whole scandal with the doctor came out, which is a really dark time over Michigan State and just all the athletes that were that were affected. So it was just really sad to see. And then once that happened and all came out, I felt like USAG, so USA Gymnastics, finally good people stepped up and were like, okay, you don't need to be pushed to the limit. You don't need to get punished and do 1,000 rope climbs, or you don't have to compete when your body's hurting to be the best. And I think even if you look at the Olympics today with Simone, Suni, Jordan Childs, Jade Carey, and the young girl Hesley, they didn't have to be pushed to their limits of injury and have to struggle mentally to be the best. And I know some of them have went through abusive training, but they didn't have to. They got new coaches, and they're phenomenal being treated how they should be treated.
No,
If that makes
100%.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. There's less, not that there's always pressure, but there's less like, I don't know how to phrase it, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Less
It's
of,
kind of hard.
oh,
I
I
feel
guess
like
less of a mental abuse towards like
yes,
pushing
because the
you.
line was very gray, and
Yeah.
now I feel like people are speaking out more. Like even Simone tweeted like your mental health matters, and she has been vulnerable and like courageous enough to open up about her story. And I think her being such a high level athlete has allowed others to be able to open up about their story, and then just like domino effect in a good
Yeah.
way.
And I mean, society in itself, there was an era where everything was tough love and
Yeah.
push you to the limits. And I think they learned that doesn't help a lot of people in the long run, and it causes trauma and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So to focus on that now is really cool. But
Mm-hmm.
that all being said, right, the experiences you went through,
Yes.
and then we're going to talk about wrestling, but just now that we talked about this, I'm like, the wrestling world is a very interesting place.
Yes.
And those experiences that you went through must really have like prepared you for the wrestling world, because you kind of get it. Like you've been through
Yes.
situations of competitiveness and the tough love and the no one's here to like have sympathy for you lifestyle. So
Yeah.
do you think that gymnastics kind of prepared you for wrestling in that way?
Oh, absolutely. I think gymnastics has not only taught me life lessons like hard work, commitment, dedication, and all those things, but gymnastics has taught me to have tough skin. And because if you think about the sport of gymnastics, we're constantly being judged. We're being judged on a scale of perfection, which is never actually attainable. So I think it just prepared me mentally, physically, emotionally and I'm not saying I don't get hurt like emotionally by sometimes when you see people judging you, but I think it's allowed me to cope with it better because I've experienced it before.
No, 100%. And I think that's the best way you actually put it there, is that wrestling does require tough skin. Like,
absolutely. Yes, it does.
yeah. Wrestling, even for me as an outsider, that's kind of in, like, I get insults and stuff. And after you're like, okay, don't take that personally. It is what it is. Everybody's human. But like,
exactly. I'm like, they don't need a response. We don't respond to negativity.
Yeah. And like, some people are coming from a good place, even though that came kind of hard. But
yeah.
Yeah, so that's good that it trained you in that sense.
Yes.
So were you the only one out of all your siblings that actually went this far in like competitive sports, or?
Yes. So one of my brothers did baseball in college, but then other than that, all my other siblings after high school, they they went to college and then just got started in their careers.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I only asked you that because I'm also the youngest of
Oh,
three, and I always talk to my friends and stuff. I'm like, there is a weird family dynamic where the oldest one always thinks they have the whole weight on their shoulders and gotta take care of everyone, so they
yeah.
sacrifice their dreams and trying to take care of their parents. And the middle
Yes.
one is a little bit of everything, like thinks to be really responsible. I'm like, the youngest ones are always the ones that run away. They're chasing dreams.
Yeah.
Everyone babies them. Like, it's okay, let them do what
Oh,
they're
yes.
doing.
No, that's true. I'm definitely.
So that's what I was wondering. Like, oh, you're the youngest. I'm like, you're probably the same way. You're the one that was allowed to go chase your dream and
Yep.
keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, and I love each of my siblings, my brothers, they'll be like, yeah, we helped you get there. And I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, because you don't really know how, but they think they know how. Yeah. Let's talk about the WWE now. Let's talk about how the tryout came about and how did that go for you? Like, what were your initial thoughts of professional wrestling when you had your tryout?
Honestly, when I got the message, I was finishing up my 5th year season regionals, and I was like, okay, I'll respond to this later. I got to focus on this meet. And then after, when I did respond, I first was like, is this legit message? Because, at the time, people be scamming. So then I was like, okay, this is a legit message, because I responded and I got a phone call. But then I ended up just taking the chance, and I was like, you know what? I'm only going to be this age once. I'm only going to get this opportunity once. So I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. And then worst case, you just go back to your life how it was before. So then I went to Nashville in 2022 SummerSlam, and that's where I did the tryout. And Triple H was there. I know Big E was there. Bianca even stopped by, and Becky. So it was just so cool. And the tryout was something I've never done before, because when we did the roles and stuff, that part came more natural to me, because I was like, oh, I've been doing this my whole life. But when we started hitting the ropes and then taking bumps, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so painful. The ropes are not as bouncy as they make them seem.
I feel like that's the one thing everyone learns, that the ropes actually are uncomfortable.
They are very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's something that it's something your body has to get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal. Who else was in your tryout with you?
Oh, yes. So my tryout, we had a lot of people, actually. So it was the girls, me, it was Brinley, Izzy, Adriana, Jasmine, Kaya, someone named Olivia, and then I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Hopefully I didn't miss any girls.
Okay.
And then Carmen was she was technically the tryout before, but because of being from Canada and stuff, she ended up just coming in the same time as us, around a month before. So we just call her ours too.
You guys would claim her too. That's just...
Yes. And then of course the guys like Drake, Tyreek, Tyson, Skylar, and Hayden.
So how's it dealing with the trainers so far at the PC and having that whole experience? Because it's a world-class facility compared to what coming up in the business was back in the day, and I'm sure you guys hear about it all the time. But how's the PC and how are the trainers there?
Oh, they're phenomenal. They've taught me so much, and I obviously I wouldn't be where I am today without them. But they have been just so patient, but so helpful, and then also they've have given me so many ideas not only to develop me as a character and as a wrestler, but just they've helped me get ideas to cater to my style. And they've given me people back in the day to watch, and they're like, oh, watch this. So I just feel like, you have a bunch of different coaches there who've all been what you are going through and made it to the best of the best. So it's really cool.
How has it been working with Sarah Amato? Because she's obviously there for the girls specifically, and I know there's a lot of dude trainers there that are great. Norman Smiley, Matt Bloom, the list goes on. But to have Sarah Amato, she gets what it's like to be a woman in wrestling. What's the biggest thing you've learned from her?
Oh, Coach Amato, she's great. I'm in her class now. She is an absolute beast. We watch some of her matches, and she's incredible. But being in her class is, of course, it's awesome. But I think she also gives us insight, being a female wrestler, that some of the guys never experience, or they just don't understand from a female's perspective. So she's also very creative, and she helps each one of us who are in her class do something that's unique to you. And I think that's incredible in itself. But like I said, she just helps us with a female perspective of things you would do in the ring as a woman, how you carry yourself, just those kinds of things.
How would you describe your style? What is your style?
My style, I would say my style is a high flyer. But if I had to pick like people's style from the past, I would say it's like a mix of RVD and Ray and Kelani mixed together.
Yeah. So like if RVD and Rey Mysterio somehow were like a wrestling
Yes,
baby, it would be you.
yes, it would be me.
Yeah. How dope was it when I posted that picture of you doing the splits on the chairs
Yeah,
with RVD and you accepted the collaboration on the
yeah,
stage? And I was like, that was dope. That was dope. So I know RVD is a big influence of yours, and I see it in your moves.
yes.
Um, it's weird because knowing a gymnastic background, like that's not a surprise. But if you didn't know that, like you going out there and doing all this high flying stuff was kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? Yeah. So
Yes, and I will say though, even being a gymnast and like, oh, I've been flipping all my life, standing on the top rope and then having to flip and land on someone is very scary.
So that's like one of the biggest things that's different from gymnastics compared to wrestling, I suppose. Like
Yeah.
gymnastics was you, it was literally just you focusing on you and what you were doing. Now you're working with someone else to create something.
Absolutely.
What's been the biggest obstacle with that for you?
Well, first it's just there's actually a few things, but first it would be like just being like aggressive towards someone else because gymnastics, we're supposed to be, yes, powerful, but we have this sense of elegance and grace about us. We're not punching someone, whereas in wrestling, like you're hitting someone, you're fighting back, and you're fighting. So I think that's one of the biggest differences. And also, gymnasts, we don't trash talk other gymnasts. It's not like that kind of sport. You will never see a gymnast, for the most part, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat you tonight, like how other sports like football and basketball do. We just don't do that. So it's a different type of sport. So that's been a big difference. But also just having like contact with someone and also doing the high flying stuff. I'm landing on my back and I'm landing on my stomach. In gymnastics, we land on our feet. So that's like just air awareness. Now I'm retraining myself. Okay, I'm now landing on my stomach, not my feet. So that's
100%. So
yeah.
learning, yeah. And then also, I guess the idea of like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong because I don't know that much about gymnastics, but like the art of telling a story now with everything you do, like every move matters to the big purpose of things. I think that like that in-ring psychology, I guess they would call it. I guess that's new to you as well.
I'm still working on it. I'm still learning.
Yeah, no, 100%. Kelani Jordan, how'd you come up with the name?
So the name, well, one, I just wanted a very unique first name. I wanted a name that no one in wrestling has ever had. And then my niece's name is Leilani. So then I was like, I want to kind of spin off that because I really like the name Leilani. But then I felt like I look like a Kelani. I feel like I could pass as like Hawaiian or something.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I love Michael Jordan. So then I was like, Jordan is a good staple, legendary last name.
No, it is. Kelani Jordan's dope. And then I like how you took the Kelani and like shortened it to the Lani,
Just something
works.
easier. Yeah. I was like, people can call me Kelani or Lani, but actually sometimes around the Performance Center, people actually call me Lani because it's just easier to say.
Have you gotten used to people like not calling you by your legally real name?
Yes, I've gotten used to it now, but in the beginning, I just would not answer to Kelani. They'd be like, Kelani. I'm like, oh yeah. And then, but now I'm completely used to it. And even it's funny, like when my friends like come to visit, like my close friends, or they come and watch the show and they are calling me Kelani. I'm like, it sounds so crazy when you hear like your family and your friends calling you it. So,
yeah. It's weird sometimes too, like when you know someone obviously longer or before they got their new name or whatever, and then they start like then you have to start calling them by the other name. Like sometimes I call people that I've known in wrestling before they started wrestling officially by both their names because I just like I don't know which one to use.
It's like you just interchange them because it's like you're this today. Oh, now
I'm like I guess depending how serious the conversation is, I'll call you by your real name.
Yeah.
So how did your family take it when you were signed to WWE? Were they like?
Oh, they were stoked. They were so excited. My mom was crying when I FaceTimed her on the bus after the tryout because they told us right after the tryout. So that was super cool. And I FaceTimed her and she was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then I FaceTimed my brothers, my two oldest brothers, Adam and Matt. And Adam started like crying. And then my brother Matt, he's deaf. So I was like signing to him and he was like, he was just saying like how happy he was and he couldn't believe it. But then at the same time, my brother Matt, who was really protective over me, was like, "Are you sure? I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt."
Yeah.
So then, even actually after my match on Tuesday with Tatum, he messaged me. He goes, "Proud of you, but is your leg okay? Are you okay? I'm scared. Call me."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
100%. Well, that also shows how good you are at selling now.
Thank
He's
you.
actually believed your leg was hurting. That all being said, too, let's talk about your wrestling attire.
Yes.
How'd you come up with that? And, I was thinking about it and I was looking at some pictures and I was like, oh, it's kind of a throwback to your gymnast attire anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to gear, I am kind of someone who likes to change it up. So sometimes I
Yeah.
don't have the same style or the same color because I just like to change it up. So that way people never know what gear to expect. And I think eventually one day I will probably get like a signature like style. But I don't know. I just feel like right now, being so early on in my career, I just want to figure out what I move best in, what sticks, what I like. But the gear that I did the Leo in that I wore on Tuesday, I did that because of gymnastics, because I was like, oh, it's the Leo, it's like home. And then I also wore it. I wore it once before, but I wore it again specifically for the bash because one, it matched the theme of the TV special, but then also it was the Olympics time and the gymnastics team just finished their like whole Olympics. I was like, it's fitting. So I was like,
Yeah.
I wanna wear it.
Do you have a favorite gear that you've worn so far?
Yes, my favorite one is now the green and white one that I wore at Stand and Deliver.
Okay, dope. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic here, guys. I want to let you guys know that there's a limited edition Wrestling Classic tee. I'm wearing it right now, but I got to show you the back because it's in collaboration with none other than HQ Clothing, guys. Check them out. It says Conquered in the back because that's what we do. We're out here conquering it every day, guys. Wear this shirt. Remember to conquer it. Do the thing, keep doing the thing. HQ Clothing, Headquarters Clothing, limited edition Wrestling Classic shirts. There's only like 70 left. There's only 100 printed. Make sure you get them before they're gone. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Conquer it. Get it now. Put the link in the description below. When did you know? So you were at the PC, you were training. I mean, you did the tryout, then you started training. When did you know, okay, this is it. I actually I want to do this fully. I'm fully invested now.
Yes. I want to say, honestly, right when I stepped foot into the PC, October 3rd, 2022, because right when I walked in there and I saw everyone training, I saw people just going after it. I was like, oh yeah, I like this environment and I can see myself having a long career in this. And then I just really dove head first because I started studying. I was doing our history classes. I was doing anything I could to make up for lost time when I wasn't watching the product as much, and I just fell in love ever since.
Who is your favorite people to study? Who do you study?
Yes,
obviously Rey Mysterio and Rob Van Dam. We got those two down.
Yes. I really love watching, even I would say from people from today, I love watching Charlotte. I love watching Rhea and Bianca. But then the people from the past, I love Trish. I love Lita. And then from guys from the past, of course, I love watching Shawn. He and Triple H, just the way that they sell in particular is phenomenal. Obviously, they do everything else very, very, very good. But sometimes I would just watch Shawn to just see how he sells, so that way I can try to do that.
No, 100%. He's one of the best sellers in professional wrestling of all time.
And
it's one of the things that made Shawn great. He'd get his butt kicked most of the match and come back there at the end.
The art of what we do, and I think it's so important to be great at that, whether you're a heel or a babyface. So that's just something that I specifically study, especially being so early on in my career. Because yes, like I said, the character and the gear and all that will come once you get reps. But right now, I think just being the best that I can be with wrestling and psychology is what will help me.
No, 100%. Have you gotten any advice from Shawn Michaels thus far that really stuck with you? Is there a moment you've had with him yet? And then you've had a lot of great moments, I'm sure. You've met him back there right after a match or something. He's probably said something to you. What has really stuck with you that come from Shawn Michaels?
Honestly, just hearing "good job" from HBK is already awesome enough. But I think after I would say two biggest moments. So the two biggest moments was one after the ladder match when I was he just gave me a hug and was like, I'm so proud of you. You earned it. That was something that stood out to me. And then and I'll never forget. But also then after the heat wave match, it's like my first. Well, I had a defense against Meechin before that, but my first like big title defense on a PLE, and he just gave me a big hug, and he didn't even need to say anything, just like feeling like HBK give me a hug and be like and like a nod of like affirmation. I was like, all right, I did it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You ended last week's match or this week's match against Tatum with a frog splash. So I do want to talk about RVD again. You met RVD, right?
Yeah, I did at Wildlife Mania.
Yeah. How was that experience?
Oh, it was awesome. First of all, he's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
He's so funny, and I got to meet his wife, and they're so cute. But it was really cool, and he remembered me because I didn't know. Like I was like, he probably has well, one, he meets so many people. It's WrestleMania weekend, but he was so kind, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Kelani, you did the picture, you did the lift," and I was like, he remembers me. But it was really cool.
Yeah, no, he's dope. He's dope.
And he also, which I really respect, which is so cool, is he will sometimes like retweet my like videos that I post on X now, not Twitter, on X, and it will be like if I'm doing like a variation of something that he did, and he will like repost it. And for him, it might be like, oh, just something simple, but for me, it means like everything.
I don't think they realize that sometimes, because at the end of the day, everyone's just human. But I always try to say something. I'm like, no, I think you guys are human too. Don't get me wrong. But anytime you guys like my stuff, share my stuff, tweet my stuff, I'm like, that helps me. Be more. It validates me more. So I'm like, you know what I mean? So I take, you guys, everyone's human, but like it means a lot.
It's like a co-sign from a legend.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing too, because sometimes we sit here, and I know this from like being on social media all the time, where we're like, I don't know how many of these OGs are actually on their social media accounts, right? Like, is RVD really the one on it? Like, it doesn't even manager. Like, I don't know. But then when you know that it actually is him, then you're like, oh, that's actually so cool. Like, you know, like he actually is seeing this. He is retweeting it. It's dope. Let's talk about winning the North American title. You're the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion. Now, let me tell you something, right? Watching on TV to the build up, right? And talking to friends, everyone had an opinion who they thought was going to. People were like, oh, it's going to be Sol Ruca. Oh, it's going to be Fallon. This is Lash's moment. You know, because all these characters have had their build up, right? And, you know, everyone, and I remember at one point I was like, I don't know, man, but I kind of think Kelani could win it. Everyone was kind of like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's something there. Like, and you started doing the whole champ like Lani thing. And then I'll get into how I felt about it in a minute, but like, so how did you feel about winning, being the first champion? What did that moment mean to you?
Words can't even like fully explain how I feel, but when I was climbing up the ladder and no one was pulling me down, and then when I grabbed the title, I was legit like shaking. I was like, it was such a surreal moment, and then also like just being around like seeing the fans and them cheering, because this is such a like monumental moment, and this is gonna go down in history, like being the inaugural. So I was just so excited, but also I also had this feeling of like, oh my gosh, like this really happened. And then I don't know, and then just going to the back, like I said, and then seeing like Shawn be able to just give me a hug, saying like, you earned it. It's a feeling, like I said, I'll never forget.
How long before the match actually happened did you know you were going to win it?
I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know. And I believed in myself, but I didn't.
Yeah, because the thing that stuck out to me the most is like, okay, so you started doing those posts, and you were talking about like, oh, champ like Lani, everyone deserves the champ like Lani, right? And then I looked at the you guys did that segment in the ring where everyone was cutting promos, and you all sitting on the chairs, right? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know, I get everybody's characters, and as you know, like, you know, I feel like I got a pretty good eye for talent, if you ask me, and ask some other people. So I was like, you know, the one thing about Kelani that stands out to me is that you are in a like you aren't in a sense, because you're like you got like 23 gymnastic titles, you're super athletic, had a tremendous like career in gymnastics and all that. But I was just like, she's really relatable as a character, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, little girls can look up to you and actually like aspire to be like you. There's something about you where it's like, you're not over the top, you're not like a crazy over the top character, but you're someone who I'm like, oh, like they can, like, she's cool. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it. Like, she's cool.
Thank
like
you.
There's something cool about her, right? And I was like, I think it would be cool if she won the title because that's gonna like inspire a lot of other people. Like there's all these bigger, larger than life characters here, but it's Lonnie is the one that does it. Like that's cool, you know, because
Yeah.
nobody expected that. It's kind of like the underdog thing.
Yes.
And that's what I thought was really cool.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that because like coming into this, I just wanted myself I wanted to be an exaggerated version of myself, and I wanted to be someone that people can relate to. And I think so. Hearing you say that makes me really happy. And like I said, I'm still evolving. I'm still developing. I'm still learning more about who I am. But just hearing you say that means a lot. So thank you.
But because you know what I mean? Like, everyone's got some crazy characters, and they're all exaggerated, but they're like characters. And I was like,
yeah,
Kalani's cool, and like I think I commented them. Like, oh no, a champion that little girls can look up to, because I'm like, that's what it felt like to me. I was like, and usually I'm drawn to like the bad guys, but like I was like, most of the people that I like, I'm like, that guy's got something. They usually end up being like a heel. But I was like, no, she could be like the top baby face. Like, look at her.
Thank you. And I would say being a baby face has its challenges just as much as being a heel has its challenges. But I think as people, as the culture that we're in today, people will much rather dislike you than they would to like you. So I was just gonna say, so that in itself, that has been like a challenge, because I don't want to be like over the top, like, oh yeah, like me. If you don't like me, like that's your choice. You have the choice to like not cheer for me. Like that's the fun of what we do. But I would just say it's hard to get people to like you. So I'm so thankful for everyone who's been behind me.
I think it's harder to be a baby face, to be honest. It's easy to get people to dislike you and like F you guys and I'm selfish. It's harder to like for example, right? You climbed up that ladder. You grabbed that title. You didn't know how the people were going to react.
I didn't know. Especially in those, especially, and I know a lot of people can attest to this, like people in our industry, but when it's like a multi-person match, especially, everyone's going to have mixed opinions. Everyone's going to want their person to win. And then sometimes, not everyone, like I said, that day I got a lot of positive, like, praise, and I got a lot of people like behind me, even people who weren't rooting for me, just still congratulating me. So that was very, very sweet. But then again, it's also people like, oh, she shouldn't have got it. Why did they do this? So there's always going to be that. And that's where it goes back to just having tough skin, because everyone's going to have their faves. The only thing that I would say is like, I don't like is when people like, yes, have your favorites, but you don't have to throw a jab at me with it. You can pick who you pick, but you don't have to discredit me as you're doing it. But if you do, that's fine too, because my mom always told me haters are your motivators. So that's just what it is.
It's true. And like, I guess I should ask about that too, because how fun is that, right? Like, I love them. I honestly, like, I am able to do what I'm doing right now because of them, and I am one of them. So I'm not like I am one of them, but the wrestling fandom is pretty funny. Coming from gymnastics into this world and seeing how passionate and how opinionative and how just strongly opinionative they are on social media.
Hit emphasis on strongly.
How has it been for you dealing with the wrestling fandom, coming from a world that wasn't wrestling, right? Like, I don't know, like, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think the world of gymnastics has a social media presence like the wrestling fandom.
No, and they don't. And then if in gymnastics, if you have a hiccup or you mess up, people are like, it's okay, you'll get it next time. But it's like, sometimes I think people forget that, we're human too. And so I'll just be completely honest, like it's a lot better for me now. I've been able to like just understand, like, that's just how it is. Even the best of the best have experienced this and will continue to experience this. So it doesn't make me any different. But at first, when I first ever like got the first negative comment, I was very like in my head about it. I was like, what? Like, what? Oh my gosh, like, what did I do? I was upset. I was sad. I was like, oh my gosh, because I have been someone who grew up and I always cared about what others thought of me, whether it's my coach's approval, my parents, my siblings, my friends, and especially like myself. So I think coming in, it was hard. And even some days are hard now when you see negative comments. But I think, like I said, I have a great support system around me, and also the best of the best deal with it. So what makes it me any different that I'm not going to deal with it? So I just kind of have like more tough skin. I kind of just laugh about it now. I'm like, that's actually kind of funny. Like, for example, when I cut the promo and they're like, oh, why does she sound like she's talking like a president? And I'm like, honestly, that's not a jab. That's great. I would love to talk like the president. I was like, okay, vote for me then.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's like I also feel like it's so much funnier when people are harsh on the people at NXT because it's like that's where you are supposed to learn and practice and get your reps in, and they're like, well, they're so like that's where they're allowed to like try things out.
Yes.
And be bad at something to get better at it and learn from your mistakes. So like if you're judging the people at NXT, like that's where I will still be like, go do it yourself then. Try go do it yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
true. And I think also just because someone maybe wrestles different or dresses different or looks different or talks different doesn't mean that him or her are bad. It's just different than what you're used to. And I think that's what's the beauty of everyone being different.
100%. And wrestling fans are very big on comparing people to other people, which can be a negative or a positive. And then also like it's everything's subjective. Everyone likes different things. I sometimes like the old school wrestling. Some people like the new school wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it when people like talk like the actual humans in the cut of promo. Some people miss the old yelling and screaming from the 80s. It depends what you want, right? It's really like different flavors of ice cream.
Yes, absolutely. But I love it. It's fun. And I was like, and it's actually something that John Cena I heard say before. I don't know if it was in an interview. He was like, whether the people are cheering for you or whether they're booing for you, they're still cheering for you. So it's better than sitting silent.
At least they're talking about you. There's people that are not talking about that wish that they were being talked about. Like, man, I just had to imagine nobody's tweeting about me. Or
so that's something John Cena said in his interview, and I'm like, and that's John Cena. I'm like, all right, so John Cena can deal with it. And he's experienced it, then it's okay that I will have experiences like that too.
100%. Talking about the whole babyface heel thing. One of your first big title defenses was at NXT Heatwave, and it was against Sol Ruca, who was also like another big fan favorite. Now you're in another one of those situations where you don't know how the fans are going to react. You're out there trying to be the good guy champion against this really popular girl that's coming up.
Absolutely.
How was your reaction to the fans' reaction? Because I was there live in the crowd. I was there in Toronto, and they loved it. Everyone was excited, and it was like a really fun match.
Yeah, it was really fun.
How did you feel about the crowd reaction? Were you like surprised that everyone was like supporting both of you?
Yeah, I honestly felt like going into the match, I was excited regardless. But when I went out there and even during the match, like they were chanting for both of us, and I was like, this is sweet. Like they were behind her, but they also were behind me. And I think that's what also like made the match even more competitive because it was like, let's go Sol, let's go Lonnie, let's go Sol. Like, and so I was just like, I love it because I felt like we were both getting like mutual like cheers.
No, 100%. And that's what I'm saying. So you didn't know what the reaction was going to be.
I didn't know.
It's rare. It's really hard when you have a good guy versus good guy match, and you guys are both fan favorites. So like going out, it's like, are they going to turn on me? Are they not going to turn on me? But they didn't. They wanted both of you guys to like.
Toronto was great.
Yeah. Canadian crowds could be a little iffy.
Really? Cool I was like, when I left there, I was like, I love Canada. I want to come back.
No, the crowd is loud, but like we have like a really bad habit of like rooting for the bad guys. Like for example, like if the period where John Cena was like the top guy, if you came to Canada, like we'd be cheering for whoever John Cena's facing. We wouldn't be cheering for John Cena, and they would always be like, "Oh, it's Bizarro Land over here." It's just like no, we just cheer for who we like. But hopefully you get to come out to Vancouver when they do Survivor Series. If they do an NXT show, that'd be dope.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. You were just in Cleveland for SummerSlam, and you got to go check out the tryouts there because they had a WWE Tryout SummerSlam. You said you got like signed October 2022. It's like not even 2 years for you in this company yet. You're a champion. You're attending the tryouts to see maybe the next generation. How cool is that for you?
I loved it. I was able, thankfully, to do the last year's tryout too, the one in Detroit. So it's always a bittersweet moment, especially when I do the SummerSlam tryout, because I can put myself into those athletes' shoes of the feeling of excitement, the feeling of being anxious. So I always just love being able to go back and help them, to tell them how to just cope with being excited, being anxious. Just, hey, dare to be different, be yourself. You don't have to try to compete against the people around you. Just be you, and they love that more. So then it's always just like fun to see like the next generation, and I can't wait to see who the next group of superstars that come in.
You don't have to say any names, but do you ever go to these and be like, oh, that person has something?
Oh yeah, you definitely go and be like, oh, that person has it, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
it is, whatever it is. Yeah.
Like even just the way that they carry themselves, because like the ring stuff, like again, yes, some people are just athletic and some people maybe aren't the most athletic, and that's fine. But some people like you can teach someone how to like wrestle, you can teach someone how to be better at talking, but like some people, just the way they carry themselves, like sometimes you just can't teach that. And I think
Yeah.
like I personally, I have no clue, I have no say in who gets signed at those tryouts. I'm just there to teach them how to roll, give them advice, give them my experience. But you can definitely like, I can see like, oh, I think this person has it, but then again, it's not my choice, so I don't know who is going to be coming.
No, 100%. But it's cool for you to see because you were
Yeah,
just
it's
there
cool to see because
like 2 years ago, you know?
Because then when they come, I'm like, I remember you at your tryout.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's nuts, right? Like, I think about it sometimes. Honestly, like you're around the same age group, so it is kind of fun sometimes to watch NXT and be like, this is like a teenage drama show.
Yeah.
But there's like some college years, something going on here. But like the amount of women that are in that locker room is insane. And the amount of women that have characters that are coming up, building their own personalities is insane. Is that like, you obviously have the competitiveness in you, but is that like, how is that for you? Like to know like there's so many women here, like where do you stand out?
Honestly, I love it because it's more people to wrestle.
Yeah.
So I love it, and also just to see how far the women of WWE have come over the years. So I personally, this is just mine, I don't know this to sound like cocky or anything. I don't really get jealous. If anything, I'm more of someone who's like, I want people to get ready. I want people to come because then I want to work them. The better they are, the better it makes me, because then it not only pushes me, but in the ring, I'm pushing them to get better. They're pushing me to get better. And I think if we both push each other, or we all push each other, then the women's division will just keep getting stronger and stronger. So personally for me, I don't get jealous. Like, yes, I have a competitive spirit, but I think it's more so to like just compete against myself, like get better at talking to the mic, get better at in ring, get better, like just evolve. So I think that's just like my take on it. I know everyone can have a different opinion, but
if you would have talked to the Kelani that was coming into the WWE 2 years ago, or a little less than 2 years ago, and give her advice of like what she should prepare for as a woman entering this business, and this is for other women that are entering this business or looking into this business, what advice would you give them?
I definitely would say be yourself, because being unapologetically yourself is the most important. And then going back to what we said about mental health and just dealing with, like you said, people having multiple opinions, I would just tell myself, like, be ready, like be mentally strong, be tough. And what people say that may be negative, it doesn't affect you. Like, just use it as motivation. I think that I would tell my coming in like self that, because I never experienced that, like you said, in the gymnastics world. So those would be like the biggest things. And then and I would say, but despite the negative, there's also a lot of positive. So just like know that you are making an impact, you're putting smiles on people's faces. So I think just like keeping that in mind, like there may be negative, but the positive always outweighs the negative.
No, 100%. I think that's good advice. I think that a lot of people could use that, because it's really hard to stay positive, you know, like when there's all this stuff going on around you. And I think I always try to like look at balances now. I'm like, oh, every time something bad happens to me, like something good also happens to me. I just gotta look for it, right?
And also I was gonna say, just as like being human, go back to being human, like you can hear a million positive and you can hear one negative, in your brain for some reason will focus on that negative, even though there's a million more positive. And so I think starting off Kelani, I would tell her that, but now I'm thankful. I felt like now I'm like, okay, they said that, it's fine, but there's more positives. And also I feel like I'm improving. My coaches are telling me that I'm improving, and HBK says that I'm improving, and they're the ones that are Hall of Famers and stuff. So I think just like, just keeping that perspective.
I also found really interesting, we don't really need to dive into it, I just want to bring it up, that you won Busted Open, and I listened to that, and how you talked about how in gymnastics it was more about, 2 tuning out the crowd.
Yeah.
But now it's a situation where you have to feed off the crowd and
Yes.
go off the reactions. And I think that's insane. That's just an insane thing to switch to, because
Oh yeah.
after being so competitive for so many years and doing this one thing, you literally have to switch your mindset fully to do this totally new thing.
Yeah. Like,
do you still find yourself tuning out the crowd?
So in matches, I will say I feel like I've gotten way better at hearing them, like, especially in my match on Tuesday. I was like listening to them and I felt like I was able to like glance at them and do like responses. And I think I've gotten better at matches. And then as far as promos, I think I'm getting better at like just taking my time, listening to the crowd. So of course I'm still need room for improvement for everything, but I definitely do think it's getting easier to like listen and still perform.
Yeah.
Not easy.
I feel
easier.
Yeah, you're getting better at it. It's progressively getting better. I mean, there's always that saying, like, if you think you're going slow, go slower. Like, breathe and take in the moment and just be patient.
Yeah, and it's such an art. You don't realize, like, think about Cody and like CM Punk and like Becky, all them who do all those like matches, promos in front of thousands, like WrestleMania, 70,000+ people. And they have to like be able to like listen and respond and like react. That's an art in itself.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is. And it's like, but then you also realize how many years a lot of those people have put into this business, and they were also in a position that you are in now at one point.
Yeah.
And they also progressively got better, and now they're masters at it. But it took them trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Trying things, messing up, saying things that didn't work, saying things that did work, taking risks. But a lot of them also came up in a time before there was a Twitter and Instagram, and they didn't get the instant reactions that you're getting. Like, they talk like the president. So you're kind of you're in a better spot because you're taking the feedback and still rolling with the punches, which is a good thing. Let's talk about some fun stuff really quickly, because why not? I'm a kid. I grew up on Bollywood movies. I'm here for a good love story. Who made the first move? You or Carmelo?
Yeah, Mr. Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah. How did that happen? What happened here? Give a little bit of the story.
So we were at the Performance Center. I was a few months in, and then it's just like when we met, we walked by, and it was almost like, this might sound cheesy, but
no, let it sound cheesy. We're here for the cheese.
It felt like time stood still, and then we were just like shaking hands. Like, I was greeting everyone. I was very new, so I was just like going around every single day shaking everyone's hands. But in that moment, it felt like time stood still, and we both were just like just stared, and then we just walked away. And I was like, and then you walk away, you're like, okay, maybe it was me. And then I started getting anxious. I'm like, oh my gosh. But then anyways, apparently I think he told one of our coaches, like, wow, that girl's so beautiful. But I didn't know that at the time. But then eventually, like, time passes, and then he ends up messaging me, and then that was it. And then we went and got some tacos.
Oh, there you go. Shout out to the tacos. It ended up being a whole thing.
Really,
how is it having him in your corner? You know, like, what advice has he given you? Because he was there a little bit before you. So once you guys are together, like, I'm sure he's giving you a little bit of like, hey, just.
He helps me. He helps me all the time. Like, I think the biggest ways that he helps me is just by supporting me and giving me constructive criticism. Like, he doesn't go easy on me, because he knows I, one, can take it, but one, he also believes in me that I can make those corrections and just be better at them. So, and also he's giving me advice because he's been on the indie, so he knows.
I was going to say, he came in the long way.
Yes, so he knows the other side that I never been able to experience, but I also have the perspective from the athlete side. So I think it's really cool to like be able to hear his journey of what he went through to like get here, and also like just hearing him like how hard it was just like to do shows on the independent scene, and like now we're getting training for free, and like we're getting to like, just like kind of like fast track. So I think just hearing his stories has like helped me have even more of like a respect for people who, like, not that I didn't have respect for, I had a bunch of respect, like even more, because they really sacrifice a lot to like be here. And
it shows you the perspective of those that chose wrestling first and tried to come in through the independents, and like the sense of gratitude they have to even be there, because they worked a hard different route to get there. Then, like, you worked a different route. Like gymnastics isn't easy, but it's not really the wrestling road.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But
No.
to go back to your question, the biggest way is just definitely like he just supports me. He gives me like love after each of my like, even if it's like a backstage, a match, promo. But then again, he also gives me like the like criticism and critiques that I need to be that much better.
No, 100%. I did a couple of the media junkets in this year, and I know a ton of people asked him about like his reaction to you winning the title, and he was talking about how he got emotional and almost like started crying on the couch, and it's oh, that's super supportive, you know, like that's
that was awesome because he had a video and of him like recording like go 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 go, and then he's like, oh my gosh, and he just starts like screaming. So it was super cool. But he's definitely my number one fan, and I'm definitely like his number one fan. So and then I was gonna say, but also like just he's not only gives me like advice vocally, but just the way that he carries himself, the way that he works, the way how he's so giving to others. So he's like a leader by example too.
No, he's a man. Honestly, when I first met him, like he was talking to me how he like followed the page before I even really knew who he was. And I'm like, no, but you're the man. He's like, no, but you're the man. So like, I'm like, this guy's the coolest dude ever, man. And like, you guys are both so dope at Wally Mania when I saw you guys. Yeah. So I guess a couple of times. At one point, I'm like, okay, we gotta have a picture. I'm like, I'm gonna regret it if I don't.
Yeah.
No, you guys are dope. So I just want to ask about that. I think that's super cool. I mean, there's always jokes swirling around that NXT's like Love Island.
Okay, WWE. We need one. We need a reality show at this point.
Yeah. They do. They really do. There's a lot going on down there.
Yeah, especially when we went to CW. They have like a lot of like love shows on there.
I mean, that was the world of like the OC and One Tree Hill and all the teenage dramas. Like, what are we doing here?
They have another. See. We're on the same page.
It's a thing. How do you what was I gonna say about that? So what type of shows did you watch growing up? I'm actually curious. I want people to kind of know who you are. Like growing up, who was Kelani Jordan? What were some of the shows you were into?
Oh goodness. So well, I always watched Love Island. Not just this season. I know this season's really popular, but I've always watched like the love shows like Love Island. I used to watch Bad Girls Club when I was younger. Empire, I watched in high school, I remember. And then, like, just, like, when I was even younger than that, I loved Disney Channel, Hannah Montana. I loved, I'm thinking about all the Disney shows. I'm like, Hannah Montana. Also, That's a Raven, Corey in the House. Oh, Wizards of Waverly Place.
Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah, I mean, what's the show?
Great show, I watch all the same shows, so I'm just like,
And then, I forget which one's Nickelodeon, which one's Disney, but iCarly, Victorious, Zoe 101. Yeah, that was like my.
I went through like Zoe 101 did not last long enough. I did not watch the movie. I heard there was a movie.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie, but I don't now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really remember how the show ended.
It just like ended one day. I don't remember either. I just remember watching like how cool would it be to go to a school like that? That's all like, some, like summery shot. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually seems so cool. How about musicians? Who were some of your favorite musicians growing up?
Oh, so I did like Taylor Swift. I had a bunch of her CDs, but then I liked Akon, I liked Nelly, Beyonce, Rihanna. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Do you have a specific pump up song that you listen to before matches or that motivates you?
Actually, now I listen to a lot of like Christian music. I feel like it just helps motivate me because I'm really deep in my faith, and so I listen to a lot of like gospel music. And then when it goes to like, I like a lot of throwbacks. So like when I'm working out in gym, even at the performance center, I'm like, can we put Akon on? Can we put 2000s throwbacks hip hop? Or like, I love the throwbacks.
Yeah. A little convict music.
Yes. And then my favorite like newer artist is Rod Wave.
Okay, sweet. It's good to know. What are some of your future goals now at this point? You have the North American champion. You're killing it. You're creating prestige for that title. What are we looking forward to do next? Yeah, so continue, like you said, creating prestige for the title, get some more title defenses against the best of the best. But then obviously moving forward, one day get the NXT Women's Championship title. And then I'm like, my words, it scared me. I thought my dog was coming in. It's Melo. I was like, he scared me. Yeah, we're wrapping up. Yeah.
No, you're good. So then anyways, are you going to say hi? He's coming to say hi. That's why.
Oh, what's up?
Okay, my goal.
What's going on, bro?
I got to go to the airport.
I know, we're wrapping up right now.
I'm finished my goals. My goals are next to get the NXT Women's Championship, and then of course go to main roster, make a name for myself there, and continuing to put smiles on everyone's faces.
I wrap up every interview with this. So we're gonna wrap it up. Very last question. You got to take Melo to the airport. He's got to be on TV. Do you feel like you've made your younger self proud?
Absolutely. I feel like my younger self will be proud of the woman that she has become today.
There you go. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll talk to you more soon down the road when you achieve more. What's up?
What up, buddy?
What's up, bro? Yeah. We'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.